Hello again. We're on episode 6 of these Bridge of Awareness teachings now. And I've tried to present an outline of how the teachings of Zed began, the way in which they were received and recorded, and some of the actual teachings, word for word. I'm reminded that I said I would tell you more about my healing journey, and in particular, what happened after first being contacted by the BBC. So here goes. The popular programme, this was in the 1990s, Your Life in Their Hands, predominantly dealt with various aspects of conventional healthcare. But the producer, Stephen Rose, made quite a bold decision to step outside the norm and make a programme on more unconventional ways of healing. Obviously, the success of any programme depends on audience appeal. So the search for more unusual and sensational was launched, and dynamic healing came into their sights. The spectacle of someone spontaneously contorting their body into strange positions, etc., certainly has impact. As I've said before, I avoid sensationalism, and I don't consider the response to my energy in that category at all. But I do understand that other people might. I had also been told to take the teachings into the world and that doors would be opened. So clearly things were happening as they should. I've written about this experience in my book, All the Trials of Life, so I won't go into details except to say that the right people just appeared at the right time. For healing, that is. And the filming was completed despite having 7 people, that's 5 crew and the patient and me, crammed into my living room for 3 days in a heat wave. We then waited about 2 years for that particular episode to be edited and aired, by which time our weekly sittings for the Zed Teachings had come to an end. And I will mention that losing verbal contact with Zed at that point felt to me like a bereavement. Only much later, under very different circumstances and with a very special medium, was I reunited in this way with the entity who had once lifted my face and filled me with love. However, the response to the programme was amazing, especially because the more dramatic physical movements had been omitted, because, as Stephen explained to me later, they just wouldn't have been believed. I was told the BBC switchboard was jammed with callers asking for my contact details, and hundreds of letters arrived asking for help. It was a humbling experience. It was, of course, as predicted, and doors were certainly opened for me to begin sharing the teachings on a far wider scale, carried on the wings of that programme, and backed with experiences of dynamic healing, including what became known as GDH, sessions, Group Dynamic Healing. It was a busy time that lasted a few years and introduced me to many places and some lovely people. Returning now to the teachings, we once asked if these were taken to other groups, and Zed replied, "Mankind's desire is to ruin the planet, and our desire is he should not. To that end, we have helped this and other groups, but the teachings are with you only." He said, "Consider the source of our thought. It is like that of a mountain stream. High up, the water is little and pure. Such are our teachings. That is why we have just one stream, for more would run the risk of pollution. So when our thoughts reach you, they are pure, and from there they go further, and the stream becomes a river, and as it runs over the stones of interpretation, so the message becomes obscure." So you see the wisdom of us speaking straight to you. I ended the last episode with one of Zed's modern-day parables. Now I'd like to share another, which actually explains why I have adopted the title The Bridge of Awareness for this podcast and my workshops and the book of the teachings. Consider the stream that we spoke of before. As it flows down, we see it as the stream of life. And as it flows further down, so it grows in magnitude and speed. And from the birth as a small stream to the adult as a river, this river of life has on its left bank many who walk in the direction of the current. For the left bank is the bank of ego. Those who understand less carry on walking towards the mouth of the river. But if they were to look right, they would see the bridges of spiritual awareness and cross to the bank of love. But on that side, they would be away from the view of all those that had surrounded them. For here on the left bank of ego, many follow them. They have great power, great prestige, great riches. People shout their names and call them great ones. But the truly great one is she or he that walks to the right bank, where no riches, no materialism, no recognition except that of shared love exists. You will stand at the entrance to that bridge and explain to those that need to cross that it's not an easy pathway, for it is contrary to all they have learned, but it's not a long bridge either. The problem is, you see, that until they reach the right bank, they are obscured from their spiritual progress. Those that lead will have little motivation to cross, but those who seek will become disillusioned with what they see, for the leaders are so bound up with their ego that they don't even recognize that a bridge exists. They question the whole concept of spiritual awareness. But those that seek will soon discover the hollowness of the reasoning of these ego hunters and will look for a deeper meaning in their lives. That is where your dynamic healing is so important, Jane, for they are motivated initially by a cure to their illnesses. But soon they learned that this was nothing, merely a lesson in direction to their real awareness, and in learning from their illness, they see the true pathway over the bridge. Well, we're nearly out of time again, but I hope you've pressed that follow button for the next episode, because there is so much more I would like to share with you. However, the intervals in between are also important, because they give you time to mull the words over and to digest and see how they might relate to your life and the life around you. As Zed once said to me, "We have a feast to offer you, but you must take it in small bites, for to try and eat too much at once would only make you sick." I hope to see you again. Goodbye.